Brenda, we're ready to go. We can open up this meeting. So
Okay.
on February 23rd, 2023 at 10:02, I'd like to open the Board of Water Commission meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so starting off, we'll start with the financials and the FY 2024 budget. Jennifer, we go first so you don't have to stay.
Thank you very much. So Brenda sent out a bunch of reports to you all. I just wanted to make sure everybody got the reports.
Yep.
Okay, and you're able to review them. So, as you know, the quarter billing went out, so we committed that. We're starting to get into more of a routine with your monthly reports. I gave you a little bit more this month. And, your budget to actual, looks like you're on pace with what you're supposed to be getting. I haven't overanalyzed them or not, but I don't know if you all have any questions. There are a few reports here. I want to make sure that you're all getting what you want and that it's helping you make decisions, particularly with the budget. I mean, I can go through the reports, but there's a few of them here. I just don't know if you have any questions. I will tell you, though, I just did find something in your expenditure report. There was a debt payment, I believe there was a debt payment in July, and part of it was for water, and it was never charged to the water. So I'm going to make an adjustment in February to make sure that is corrected. That's something I just ran across. But the debt was paid.
How much was the charge?
I don't know. I just found it. I just wanted to let you all know that. I don't have a breakdown.
Okay, do you know where the account it came from?
Where what? I'm sorry.
I said what account it came from to pay it.
Yeah, so what they did is they wired. So what happened was there was a July payment for debt, and there wasn't anybody in the position, so they charged it to June 30th in error. So it was reversed out of June 30th, but it was never charged to this fiscal year. And it was debt, I think it was from that came from a bunch of different pockets. So it was general fund, water, and sewer. So I have to analyze that. I've noticed the full debt payment, and I will let you know, but I just wanted to let you know, as you analyze the reports, that expense was not charged to your report.
Okay, but you're saying it was possibly paid in the last fiscal year?
No, it was paid this fiscal year. We wired the money. So there's two things that happens when we pay a bill. We actually cut a check or we wire money. And we do that, but it also has to be reflected in the general ledger account, which it wasn't, but it was paid to, the debt was paid.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Jennifer, and that's just nothing really major, but when you do this again, can you just add in the retained earnings section?
Sure.
That's the only thing it kind of gives you the overall picture at the end.
Oh, you know what I can, all right. So the certified retained earnings will not change from what you were certified. But if you want, I think last time you're right, I did give you a copy of the balance sheet, and right. That's what you're talking about. Okay. I'll make sure that I incorporate that. I apologize.
Yeah, but no, it's not a big deal. It's just for the next round. That's all.
I made a note.
I was scrambling I forgot to print this one out, and I'm scrambling on my phone, and I just want to make sure I had it right. So. Okay.
And one other thing.
Go ahead.
Jennifer, you could just give us an update every now and again of our capital accounts.
Oh, sure.
Where we are with them.
Okay.
So it looks like we're on a decent pace.
Yeah, there isn't any, major red flags or anything like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I saw too.
Okay, because I was just looking at the now the question I had about your revenue actual to prior year. Yeah, was it revenue you're giving us or billed amount?
Well, the one that I gave you, the billed amount, is on,
Okay.
is the one I added that column. It's on the.
All right, I just want to make sure because the prior month, I think we had the discussion and
Right, and I flipped them. I think all it was
okay.
The water use charges and the capital recovery charge were flipped.
Yep. So we're
So I
looking
made
at
sure that
revenue to
that was
revenue.
corrected,
It looks
yeah.
good. Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, from a finance perspective, what I usually look at is your actual receipts to date versus your actual receipts to date last year. And that really is, you know, the report that I basically give the most weight on. And as I look through this, you know, you're off a little bit. You're off like 93,000, but you know, there are timing issues. So again, I don't think there's anything to worry about, but that's the one that I focus in on. Is really your fiscal year to date, and it's January 30, ending January 1st this year versus last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know Brenda, and if she wants to jump in, I know that when Dawn left, she started running some reports like your budget to actual report. So we send those out monthly separately. I believe you guys get those separately, but then I put them in my monthly reporting to you all. So you have that as well.
Okay, but looking at the report here, basically, if it weren't for system development, which we haven't gotten any money in yet because we're still working with the harbor with their development charge, that's the one that's pulling us down. Otherwise, we'd be $100,000 above.
Yep, that's right.
Because system development is always, we only usually put in for 3 hookups.
Yep.
And
it can be a timing issue. Yeah. So, you know, you're absolutely right.
Yep. Anything else with Jennifer while she's here?
No.
No.
Okay.
All right. Just so you all know, I am out of the office the first week and a half of March. I have a conference that I have to attend and I'm taking a vacation. So your reports, you're not going to get your monthly reports until I get back. So it won't be till like the middle of March. So I just want everybody to be aware of that now.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. But I know Brenda can run a few reports too, if you need to see something, you know, before I return.
Or we could just check them out in April in one of our meetings.
That would be very helpful because
we should have receipts in for all the water bills that went out anyways.
All right, so that would be great. So what I'll do is the next reporting period will be for the end of March.
Yeah.
Does that work for everybody?
Yep, that works.
Okay.
Works.
All right, great. Thank you. That helps me tremendously.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you for being here.
All right, you're welcome. Have a great day.
You too.
Okay, see ya.
See ya. All right, so we're gonna jump around Milk and Field.
Okay, what about the budget?
Oh,
we didn't vote on that.
Sorry. Michelle, hang on one sec. All right. So you want to do approval of the 2024 budget?
We have to.
Yep.
Go ahead.
You take the bandwagon on this one. You worked on it.
Okay. From the last budget worksheet we gave you, Brenda and I worked on it a little more to make sure that our revenues for items that were in the rate study were going to be up by 2.5%. So that increased our revenue and changed our budget around a little bit. And we adjusted what was wrong with the indirect cost. So I make a motion to approve the FY 2024 budget as has been sent to you.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so I will forward that on.
Lee,
Okay.
anything on the indirect cost when you sent out to the group?
No, I'm
You could table that? Okay.
What? No, I mean, we just voted on it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, do we have to, Jonathan, are we holding you up?
No, not at all. No,
We're actually
Okay.
moving a little quicker than I thought, Jonathan.
all good.
Okay, we'll go through Michelle first, and Jonathan, you're going to be up next, okay?
Well, do you want me to forward that off to Jennifer and Mike and whoever to review, or how do you want me to handle the budget?
I don't know, how do they usually handle it though? Mike?
I don't need to see the budget. I will see it, as part of the warrant. I expect.
Okay.
Capital wouldn't be weighing in on it really. So, but thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, I will forward
I
it
don't know
to
if it goes to advisory. It might have to go to advisory and whatever. Michelle, do you know?
So I think if you forward it off to Jennifer, Jennifer will take care of sending it to the departments that need to review it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Michelle, Larry,
Okay.
Milliken
Thank you.
Field, fill us
Thank
in.
you. Okay, so thank you for having me. I don't have a ton of information, but I'm really here just to let you know what's going on with the project and ask for any information that you have for me or anything you need from me. Milliken Fieldhouse has been a project that's been on the horizon for, I'd say, about 7 years now. We received funding from CPC, from Capital, from the rec department, everybody to get this done. Originally, it was to build a concession stand that would hold ADA accessible bathrooms. Because the price to rebuild a new concession stand with bathrooms was so astronomical, we decided to see what we could do with what we had today. We have an existing shed there that does have water running to it. And we decided to repurpose that shed and make it into the concession stand and bathrooms and move storage elsewhere. So I'm here before you to ask, is there an additional connection fee to connect the bathrooms to the existing shed? DPW, John Hoadley, and Brendan all confirmed that there is water to the building. I just didn't know if there was connection fees or anything else we needed to do with the Water Commission, and certainly didn't want to do anything without your knowledge.
So I
Well,
go ahead.
I think because we have water there, Brenda.
There are no connection fees. She's going to
No.
use existing service, and we will oversee it as it's being done.
Yep.
And you'll just have to pay for the service from the main to your building, whatever increased service you might need. It's not a connection fee in case you need, I don't know, would they need larger pipe?
I don't believe so. I believe they can do it with the existing pipe that's there.
Okay.
And there's a meter pit on the property, so.
So you're good.
You're
Okay.
good, Michelle.
All right. Well, thank you. And hopefully we'll get these up and running for the spring season.
All right. Excellent. Thanks, Michelle,
right.
for coming.
All right. Thank you.
See
Bye-bye.
ya. Bye. Jonathan, you want to jump in?
Sure. Yeah. So on the agenda for our part, we have first Woodard and Curran's treatability study, which was kicked off last month, led by Rob Little. And he visited with a team of about 10 engineers of all different disciplines of structural, electrical, and others. And they did a very nice 3D scan of the facility that I think you've all seen, which
Yes, excellent job.
Which came out much more detailed than I expected, and it will enable them to sort of do a site visit remotely. You can kind of walk around as it in the plan as if it was a Google Street View. So that's pretty cool.
Right.
Beyond that, too soon to speak of other findings. However, a very big finding that's really important that I need you all to realize is that the structural guy estimated we have about 5 years to rehab the garage. And I think that came out also in Tetra Tech's study, but I don't know that we were given such a specific timeline. So pretty important piece of information there. But other than that, as far as I know, it's going smoothly. So more on that in the coming months. We are also, something I'm eagerly waiting for them to advise us on is the potential conversion from chlorine gas to hypochlorite. There's some pros and cons to each. I'm kind of neutral, and I've been reaching out to Brian Joyce for his opinion, and Fred Rogers as well. From what I understand, Fred Rogers' opinion is basically whatever is safest for the staff will be his endorsement. So that's most likely hypochlorite. But beyond that, I have also been reaching out to new vendors to help us service what we have, because our existing vendor is essentially retired. And I am in contact with somebody. I'm waiting for them to schedule a site visit. But right now, based on what I've shared with them, their initial assessment is that what we have is it's not the safest option out there for chlorine gas. And it's also not the cheapest for annual maintenance. So we were having our existing vendor come in once or twice a year to basically service everything, change out a bunch of, parts that wear out. And I'm being told that there's much more user-friendly options out there. I'm waiting for an actual proposal, and I think that's probably going to hinge on the site visit. But another thing complicating it as well is that we have a lot of parts on hand right now to do this year's annual service to what we have. So a few different things to consider there, and waiting on, a lot of other people to weigh in, but that's something that's been on my mind lately. So
yep.
Moving on from there, sludge removal is pretty much on track. We have a destination of where the sludge is going. We have partners to help us load and truck it. We have a final price right now, but it kind of hinges on the quality of the product and what it's going to be in a few months, which is kind of hard to project, but overall looking pretty good. Another issue with that, though, is that I'm finding that with Elms Meadow off does not help the fact that we already were struggling to get through every winter without processing sludge. By, in the winter months when it gets cold and things start to freeze, we would shut it down completely. And we used to be able to get through the winter without the lagoon filling up, but that is no longer the case very much. And depending on how you look at it, the weather has been favorable for processing sludge, but not favorable for freeze thaw of the sludge. When it freezes and thaws, it dewaters further and gets lighter and cheaper to ship. But we are going to be receiving another geobag today that we're going to be deploying, and going forward, I anticipate we're going to have to continue processing sludge throughout the winter, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So that's for the most part, that's on track.
Okay, Jonathan, excuse me, where
Yes.
where are we transporting the sludge to?
Danielson, Connecticut.
Okay.
I think the name of the facility is ECR. It's I can't remember what it stands for. I can get that to
That's
you.
okay.
Yeah, so it's going to Connecticut. And we're also our previous trucker who, would kind of oversee the whole thing, soup to nuts. He's also working on permitting the material for a second location. So it may go somewhere in addition to Connecticut this year, but going forward, we'll definitely have more than one destination in the years to come.
Mm-hmm. It's a shame the board isn't accepting anymore.
Yes.
Yeah, we've gone through that cycle a couple times already.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we're going to be off to a fresh start, and I don't want to see us in another position where it's only going to one place and we're kind of being dictated how much we can send to them on a daily basis. So hopefully going forward, we'll have at least 2 destinations, if not 3.
No, thanks for doing your due diligence, Jonathan. We appreciate it.
Sure. So a little more due diligence for you on the permanganate shortage. So permanganate is a very critical chemical to our operation. It it removes taste, odor, and iron and manganese from the water. So it's very important to our water quality. And I think in December, there was a fire at the only domestic manufacturing facility of the product. And there's only 2 other manufacturers in the world. They're somewhere overseas. But so the whole market for that chemical got really upended overnight. And the whole industry has been kind of panicking over that. But thankfully, we have enough product on hand right now at the facility to get us into July, maybe August, depending on what the summer brings us for water quality. But
Yeah.
I just received a newsletter this past week suggesting that the supply issue could be resolved by the end of March. And pretty much every conversation I've had with different vendors and different suppliers, the outlook is getting, it's baby steps, but it's getting a little bit better each week that I check on it. So that was really encouraging to receive that.
Okay. I just want to jump in since we were talking about sludge in Elms Meadow. You know, I've been working on this for a decade to try and get the neighborhood to stop dumping their toxic waste on the area. And that's one of the reasons why we are closed down, because of the PFAS. I have talked to Justin Schreier in Town Hall about possibly getting the Boy Scouts together to work with DPW in loading out some of the brush that has been dumped and take it so DPW can take it to the dump and chip it on a day that is not a chipping Saturday. This would be a great activity for the Scouts and help us to clean up the area a bit. And I noticed Wild Cohasset is doing that pollinator meadow in Wheelwright. And that is something that we've been trying to work on too for 10 years, to get rid of the invasives and put in plants that attract birds, butterflies, and bees so that we could have a nice area there like they want to have over in Wheelwright. And unfortunately, I guess we were a little bit ahead of our time because pollinator meadows are the in thing now. So maybe we can hopefully jump on with one of these other groups and get them involved in doing some work with us. Unfortunately, you know, CPC rejected us twice for any money to help alleviate our situation and improve the ice skating area down on the edge of the meadow. But we could possibly look for other sources in other groups in town. Any other comments on this? We have still been trying to see if anybody would like to take any of the wood for burning during this cold season. It doesn't seem like anyone has jumped on that.
Well,
but that's all I have to report.
One of the findings we'll be looking forward to from Rob Little is his second opinion on remediating the PFAS at Elms Meadow and an updated cost estimate on that.
Yeah, because I mean, we really should be getting that back because we were saving so much on that between the chemicals and the sludge costs. People don't realize how much we've lost. And I'm just so discouraged that people in Cohasset are so negligent in what they're doing with their yard waste, causing us these problems.
So Jonathan, what do we know about Rob Little and adding that to the scope and what the potential change order cost would be? I was supposed to hear back from Fred on that a while ago and I didn't hear anything, you know?
I haven't heard anything on the change of scope cost, but I have verbally told him our hope and expectation.
Okay.
I could follow up on that.
And so you just tested Elms Meadow for PFAS a week or so ago, right? So you expect that back within 3 or 4 weeks?
Yes, although over the last few years, the numbers have been fairly steady.
Maybe that's a good sign.
I don't know about that. We want it to go down.
Well, better than up.
Better than up, exactly.
That's it.
So, so maybe in maybe the April meeting we'll get Rob Little to come down and kind of give us where they are now. You know, on the evaluation process, so we can all kind of keep it flow what's happening with the plants. Be good to get a nice update.
Yeah, I agree. I would definitely like to have more insight into what's going on. Particularly, we did get our first large invoice from them, so it'd be great to know more about what they're doing and where they're at, and certainly ensuring that we're on the timeline that they proposed.
Yeah.
So it said 9 months for a deliverable, and what are we? This is our 3rd month, I would say.
Right. So we could do it. We could look at March.
Contract.
We could look at March or April, whatever the board decides. You kind of get like a quarter in to see what. We should all get an update anyways.
Sure. I'll reach out to Rob and let him know that we were discussing.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions on these. You said we get the sludge cost to haul and dispose of. Is that in line with what we thought it would be and what the budget's going to be for this year or this year next?
Brenda, I might need you to help me out, but I think it was less, but that the estimate that I had gotten so far was missing a piece of the job. I think it's roughly on par to only be a marginal increase.
And again, that's all going to hinge on the quality of the sludge.
That's why we start hoping for a deep freeze for 2 weeks.
Right, right.
So how does, if it's poorer quality, how does that impact the cost?
It's going to be heavier. It's going to be more to haul.
And
we want it to crystallize. We want it to be lighter for us to transport it.
And we would have to add more wood chips to absorb the moisture, which increases the weight and the number of trucks.
And the cost, because of the cost of the wood chips.
Right. But we know that they'll take it regardless of the quality.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and then unfortunately we have that other little wrinkle. We're not sure what the fuel prices will be at that stage. And that's something totally out of our control.
Well, it's only a couple months out, so hopefully, you know, no big surprises.
I don't know, because typically fuel prices go up in the warmer months.
And Jonathan, the chlorine gas conversion, is this the same thing that was going to be part of the GAC installation?
Yes, but another element to it right now is that if we don't convert, there are safer and cheaper options for what we currently have. But then there would be like an upfront cost to basically update what we currently have. But then from there, the annual maintenance would be minimal.
Okay, so we're sort of separated this from the GAC project because it should be done anyway, correct?
I'm trying.
We have capital monies that were appropriated for the chlorine gas conversion, which are separate from the GAC.
Yeah.
I remember correctly.
Right.
But I think that was written up going from chlorine gas to hypo. So I don't know if we'd be allowed to use that money to upgrade the chlorine gas, if that's what you guys decided to do.
I'm working on getting opinions and endorsements from my peers as to which direction to head in.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, that's important, John, to get what's best for the plan and what you guys think is going to work better.
And then since that study was done before, I'm sure there has been some innovations in the industry that would help us out.
Possibly.
Could be.
Go ahead, Mike.
I wonder if we can get in touch with Michelle and find out what monies are available, even with a change request, to proceed with better ways to handle the chlorine gas. Whether there's been money already allocated from town meeting for the GAC project or whether that's been clawed back, I don't know. Or whether there's any other items that were approved at town meeting that we could come to this town meeting and say, we'd like to change. Now, that doesn't give Jonathan very much time to do his research and make a recommendation. And if the recommendation is, hey, it's for right now more cost effective to stay with the chlorine and use better methods, even though it's going to raise costs, versus a complete conversion over to hypochlorite. So just a thought there. Just see what might be left in our accounts, in your accounts, that could possibly be repurposed with a vote at town meeting. That
Well, we
makes
have,
sense.
Mike, it was voted at May town meeting in 2021 for chlorine gas conversion, $335,000.
Okay. So
It hasn't been touched.
I think that's a very reasonable request coming from the Water Commission to repurpose that money for a better solution in the same area, you know, for the same system. So just a thought there that maybe you might want to pursue that.
No, that's a good idea.
Would a rough timeline for that decision be like early April?
Well, to get it in front of capital budget and advisory, it's March.
Okay.
And the warrant closes, I think, March 20 something.
Yeah,
So,
because it has to be in our hands because
Right.
town meeting's May 1st and you need 30 days.
yeah. So capital budget is feeling that not many requests have been fully brought to us, and we're not looking forward to having packed agendas in March in order to make the warrant. So the sooner the better.
Understood.
And that's really your judgment on, and Brenda's judgment on how urgent we want to make these improvements, if they are indeed good ones, to protect our folks.
Brenda, with the 2021 town meeting vote for that at 335,000,
Yes.
we could just ask, like I said, ask Michelle if like a verbiage change would make a difference, you know, to allocate that money towards.
It would have to go to town meeting if we were going to use it just to upgrade the chlorine and not convert.
Right.
So it would just have to go in front, you know, it's already been appropriated. I don't think anybody in town would care if we were going to keep chlorine gas or convert.
Right. Let me ask this question then, Jonathan. I don't want to take up a lot of time on this. Is 335,000 the right amount to do the conversion? Did we get that right? And would you prefer the hypochlorite conversion over the chlorine treatment? Because maybe you should just go ahead with the 335 and make the conversion.
Well, I think that number was accurate like a year and a half ago. I hope it wouldn't be too far off now. As far as which I would prefer, I don't have much preference. They both have pros and cons to me, although safety is pretty big pro. So I would probably lean towards converting personally, but I could see both ways.
So then I would turn to the commissioners and say, maybe you folks should make the call, since the money's allocated and you don't need to go to town meeting, maybe in an upcoming meeting sooner than late March, you might want to debate the question, should we pull the trigger and do the conversion?
I can request an updated cost. Whether or not I can get it in 30 days is optimistic, but I can certainly ask for it.
Right, I just want to be clear that you're not under a time pressure if you decide to do the conversion. You've already got the money.
Okay.
Right.
So it's a question of the commissioners deciding, yes, this is a good way to go forward.
Right. And we have money anyways, even if it's over a little, just to get the project done.
And then there's no red tape. It's all under your control.
Right.
Or if we have to, maybe what we could do is go to town meeting to add a correction to that warrant article to say a conversion and or upgrade as deemed the safest, most cost effective way.
I don't think that would fly with the advisory or capital budget. You really want to come in with one proposal. You don't want to give those committees options because they're not experts. You are. So we trust your judgment to come to us with we've made our decision. This is the way we want to go.
No, well, the problem is we may not have the information in time for this town meeting to say we're pulling the plug on conversion and going for update.
I'll make
because we're still doing the research.
Yeah, Jonathan, go for it. Whatever you got to do when you get back.
I will make every effort to get those answers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great.
Awesome. Great. Thank
now,
you.
Do you think we should put in a placeholder for a warrant article then?
No, it seems too undeveloped yet. It's not ready for prime time. When it's ready for prime time, I would put in a placeholder for sure.
Well, we don't have too much time left to do that.
Right. Understood, but you would be working against yourself if you put in something that wasn't developed.
Right.
Well, no, I mean, put a placeholder in and then pull it instead of coming in at the last minute.
I understand that approach, but I can tell you from working within both advisory and capital budget, members don't like that.
Okay.
We really count on each of our departments to really think things through and bring it to us rather than something that isn't ready for prime time or any time.
Okay.
Okay. So is there anything else for Jonathan while he's here?
Oh, I'm not going anywhere. All good.
You're still all good? All right. Well, do you want to get back to the agenda?
Yep.
We do have Sally Donovan here.
Do you want to go through the abatements?
Well, you know, she's been here from the beginning, so if we could.
Right, hi there. Can you guys hear me?
Let's go through the, if the commission's okay, want to just go through the abatements?
Sure.
Sally's here.
Nice to meet you all. Thanks for having me today. So my name is Sally Donovan. I live at 6 James Lane, and back in January, Brenda had contacted me to let me know that my sewer water bill that's normally around $300, the quarterly bill would be close to $10,000. So make a long story short, had a plumber come in, and it was identified that, well, he had said all my toilets were quote unquote overfilling. I have, I don't know if you guys are familiar with these townhouses, but they're on James Lane, you know, they're brand new, and it's, I'm a single household, and I've got 3.5 bathrooms. So I have 4 toilets. So it was identified that it wasn't really a quote unquote leak, but it was overflowing, but it was something you couldn't even hear. She took the tank off to listen to it. So identified that was the cause of why, you know, obviously the volumes had fluctuated so much because nothing changed in my, you know, consumption and, you know, number of people living here and so on and so forth. So had the plumber come in, and, you know, it was found that there were, you know, iron stains. The tanks are all black. There was sand in the back of the tanks. So it was just a matter of adjusting the valves. And so that stopped it immediately. And then the volumes returned to its normal consumption. So probably what I'm going to do is invest in a water filtration system. You know, I think that would probably solve this on a regular basis, because it sounds like it's a kind of a chronic problem, and I'm moving down here from Boston, so I'm kind of wasn't used to this, living in a condo before. So I just, you know, obviously I was supposed to meet with the sewer committee as well, since that's the other half of the bill, and they had kind of messed up the Zoom call. So I'm going to go back next week and speak with them, but it's, you know, pretty much the same you know, the same reasoning in what I have in the abatement. So anyways, I'll kind of pause there. I don't know if you guys had a chance to read the notes that I put in there, but I kind of just summarized what the issue was. And obviously the bill's giving me heartburn.
So just taking a look at, it looks like we dispatched a Cohasset Water Department employee. Looks like they had a metering device. Looks like they shut off your master bedroom toilet water, and the consumption stopped.
A plumber came, and then it was the valve, so it was overflowing in the tank.
So you had a running.
I guess that's what it was called. Wasn't really a leak per se, but that was causing it. And actually, I think the tech you guys sent out checked the other ones, and he said it's only the one. But when I had the plumber come, he said it's actually all four of them. You just couldn't hear. You can't hear the overflowing unless you lifted up the tank and kind of put your ear in. So I wouldn't even know that those were quote unquote overflowing. But that's, if you look at the write-up from the actual plumber, it wasn't just the one toilet, it was four. And I think your tech said, no, it's just one. But
well, according to the reads that he took, the data log, when he did shut off that one toilet, it stopped.
Okay.
With any toilet leaks, you could hear it. The flap, it just stays slightly up, and you'll hear the water going through. Like, I'm not a water pro, but
I'm not either.
I had a small leak in my old house, and you just hear that constant running of water.
Like I said, I have four toilets, so where this one is I'm one person, so I don't, using 3.5 bathrooms, 4 toilets, this one is not one that I'm using a lot. So just, didn't.
I thought it was in the master bathroom.
Yeah, but that's not a room that I use. I use a smaller bedroom.
Oh. And you didn't notice any change in sound?
No, I mean, it's supposed to refill, right? So you should hear, when you flush it, you do hear a little noise, right? And then where it fills back up, it stops. So that's normal. But
but what I'm saying is, if I had a toilet that was running, I would be hearing it, the water running throughout the house. Mm-hmm. You hear the sound of running water.
Yeah, no.
That's very strange, because the tech indicated that he was able to identify it by the sound of running water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, again, I I didn't know what the cause wasn't from me, using this amount of water and consuming it. So it was the buildup of whatever sediment got in the valves to cause it. So
that's very concerning to me, considering you have basically a very brand new building.
Yeah, right.
And considering the work that was done there, as the water department, we made sure that the fire hydrant right at the end of your street there was looped in the line, so you didn't have a dead end, so there wouldn't be any accumulation of anything to get into your. And we haven't heard of any other people in the area having the same issue with their toilets.
Yeah, I mean, my other people in my complex, their tanks were all black too. So with the iron built up. So they went, when I told them what happened with mine, I know they went down to the office there, and Brenda gave them these, packets here. So, because they looked, and they had the same, black buildup.
Because I don't know, I mean, iron in tanks is kind of normal throughout the country.
Yeah.
But I mean, we haven't heard of anybody else who has 4 failures in brand new toilets in a very short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And considering you were getting half of your water from the well field and half of it from the plant, that's,
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand what your plumber was saying.
I don't know. I mean, it's in the notes when he's saying all 4. So I'm not an expert either with this when he made that assessment. So.
All right. So obviously, anything, so, anything beyond the meter is the homeowner's responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
We have no control of what goes on beyond the meter. Just like an electric meter, whatever you use, you use. I'm going to look at your bill for a sec.
The total water bill was $5,329.38.
So 5,000.
$329.38.
Unfortunately, our ratepayers would have to absorb that entire cost.
Right.
Who would have to do it?
Your neighbors.
So you said, Brenda, I'm sorry, you said 5,328?
5,329.38.
All right. All right, so I'm kind of in limbo that, you should be able to hear the sound of running water. I know I lived through it. I heard it weeks later at my house, blah, blah, blah. My old house, but so this kind of thought, and this is only my thought. So you are responsible for anything beyond the meter, okay? But what I can suggest is doing half. You can't abate the whole thing. It is a responsibility of the homeowner, and I know it's still high, but if the bill is 5,329, look at like 2,664. But again, that's just my opinion. The other commissions have to weigh in their thoughts. But again,
okay. One other question I have, though.
I would say that. Go ahead, Lee.
Okay. From the notes from your plumber, he indicated that all of your toilets were broken. Did you get replacement toilets or replacement parts in them?
No.
So something doesn't make sense, because he said the fills were all rotted. So if the fills were all rotted, they should have been replaced, not adjusted, if that was the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And because how do we know it's just not going to happen again?
Well, that's, he said it would. So that's why I was going to invest in a home filtration system.
Well, if you have rotted fills and you're putting in a home filtration system, that's not going to stop the toilets from leaking again.
Right.
And then you'll be in the same situation. I would presume, didn't you have any guarantee from the builder on any of the appliances in your house?
Well,
it sounds like something happened with either construction or faulty equipment they put in.
Yeah, no, the warranty would have run out, a year after purchasing the home. So, yeah, I don't know. I haven't had this situation before, so I honestly don't know.
Chris, you were saying?
Yeah, there's some question as to whether it was all 4 toilets or one. So there's some uncertainty there, and I do take issue with the the opinion that it was caused by the water quality. It's, to me, it sounds like it was just one running toilet. But again, it's something that does happen, and it's unfortunate. And we paid to process and treat the water and get it to the home, and obviously the sewer department had to process the wastewater. So there is a cost to it. I do think that an abatement of half is fair, and I think that's what we should make a motion on.
Yeah, I mean, because it's I have to do the same thing. So the bill isn't just 5,000. It's, you know.
Yeah, you'll be at you'll be if it'll be 2,664.5. If Brenda would do the final math.
Right, but this is just for the water. I mean, the whole
Yeah,
bill.
that's just for the water.
Yeah. So
sewer.
I mean, it's still like, you know.
Yeah, you know, Mrs. Dunn, I understand, but just like anything beyond the meter is really, it's really the homeowner's responsibility and due diligence to make sure everything is functioning properly. You know, again, anything that's metered, it's metered there for a reason, because any utility like gas, water, electric, they don't own anything beyond there, and whatever you consume is your consumption.
Yeah, how can I read my own meter? Is there a way to look at this? So like now, I mean, do I have to call every time if I want to know what the volume looks like?
You can read your meter at any given time. What you need is a really bright flashlight, or you could use your cell phone flashlight, and you put it on the face of the meter and it will turn it on. It's digital. So if something is leaking, you'll see like a little faucet and it will be dripping. And then you can also, you know, if you wanted to check weekly, it will give you the usage. Just write those numbers down and you can calculate it, or you can call me and I can help you.
Okay.
If you want to, you know, to track it that way.
And that's no trouble for us to do that.
Yeah, okay.
So,
but you can also go on to the open market, and there are other appliances that you can have attached to monitor all the meters in your home.
Mm-hmm.
You just go into an electronics store and they can hook you up with something.
Okay.
All right, is somebody going to make a motion?
I'll make it.
The total amount is $2,664.69.
All right. I'm going to make a motion to provide half abatement to 6 James Lane to Mr. Sally Donovan of $2,664.69.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and 1 nay. So, all right, so Brenda, she is all set.
So what I will do is after the meeting, I'll do the abatement, process it, excuse me, get it up to town hall so that they can credit back the account right away. And you'll get a letter from me as well, Sally.
Okay.
And Brenda, would you mind just notifying the sewer department, the sewer commission rather?
Oh, I will, because they always call me before they review them.
Okay. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. Thanks, Sally, for coming.
Thanks.
Good luck. I feel while we're doing abatements, let's just finish the last two, then we'll move on to the last two stuff on the agenda.
Okay, so the next one would be 23 Pond Street to abate $1,434.24 because I messed up. They went from having a deductible irrigation to a regular irrigation meter. Had some plumbing. So when I changed the coding in the account, the system looked at it as a brand new meter, and we didn't change the meter. It was the same meter. So instead of being charged 1,400 cubic feet for irrigation, they were charged 11,900.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the man was going to have a heart attack.
Yeah, I would too.
So it was not our water. It was not used. We weren't supposed to get that revenue.
So we're gonna abate, it was approved by the Water Commission, which, you know, is gonna be an abatement of $1,434.24.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion to approve this abatement for 23 Pond Street of the amount of $1,434.24.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Okay, and then the last one is 137 North Main Street.
Okay.
So this is the one where I'm being told the gentleman was out of town with his family. In his letter, he stated that he had a contractor there. He stated to me that he has cleaners come in every 2 weeks. So in my conversation with him, he said, oh, they must have left something running and they must have come back. So in that time period, 2,700 cubic feet of water was used. His total water bill was $397.38. And I did send him the abatement form with our rules, with the explanation, this is a one-shot deal.
Yep.
You know, I don't know how you guys want to handle this.
So he wants to, so the abatement he's looking for was 200 and some.
289.98.
So that's,
because all of that usage was in the second tiered rate.
Gotcha. So his bill would be $100 and something.
Correct.
If I do the.
Okay, I had a question about it. We never found out, because it looks like the water usage stopped the day he got home. And so we never found out what the problem was. Was it a faucet? Was it a toilet?
I don't know, Lee. He wasn't,
Yeah.
all he said to me was about cleaners coming in every 2 weeks.
So Brenda, if we, you know, if we don't approve this abatement, right, they could come back on another meeting and go for round 2 with us, right?
That's correct. And he did say that, because I said, I will present it to the board, email everything over. I said, if they do not approve it, you still have the opportunity to come back and talk to the board members yourself.
Right. Yeah, there's not enough information. And honestly, if that low dollar amounts, if they, you know, I think they should have use their abatement, you know, abilities if something were to happen.
Well, I can call him or email him and say that you've postponed decision making until you talk to him, or.
That sounds good.
All right.
Yeah, that sounds better.
Okay, the board has tabled this.
Okay, I want to make one comment. Several years ago, we were doing the abatements like this because that was industry standard. And then basically all water departments had stopped doing these type of abatements. And we basically were on a track of negligence and ignorance were not means to get an abatement.
Right.
If it was on something that they did, we should not have the rest of our ratepayers pay for their inability to have responsibility for their homes.
I don't disagree either, but sometimes it's hard, you know, it's, you know, with some
well,
folks.
I know we've had the elderly people who were still living at home who unfortunately did not hear a toilet because they were hard of hearing. We are not really that set in our rules, but you know, there are other occasions where, you know, you just say, I don't know.
You know, maybe that's something the Water Commission as a group can at some point look at our abatement process and have a fine article that says this is what we will look at for proposed abatements. I think maybe that will kind of clarify going forward.
Well, also don't forget, we also have if a pipe is broken, while you're away on vacation, we make sure that insurance covers it, so there is no question about not getting abatement.
Right.
Because
like,
there are
for instance, like rules for like running toilets and, you know, faucets that could be dripping while people are away, and, you know, well, something we should discuss. We should propose something in writing and take it to us three and, you know, Jonathan, Brenda, whoever, and just take a look at it as a group and come up with a real policy. I know these are kind of, you know, in between. I've seen multiple different variations so far in my short time. So, all right. So we'll table 137 Main Street.
Yep. I will contact him directly.
Okay. We're on the home stretch. So, connection fees and water main replacements.
Okay, with our connection fees, we have to just make sure we know exactly what we're charging, because we have all these multi-units now that are coming in. Previously, our connections fees were really easy. House was coming in and you just charged a connection fee, because we were not like the sewer department who did each individual house according to EDUs. But now that we have these multi-units, which is something that is very new to us, we have to look at that. And then, you know, even taking a look now in the harbor, we provided them 2 brand new lines going through ledge for that complex that they were not charged for, even though they did have only one water line going, which is that line that they talked about at the last meeting coming off the hydrant. That was the original water line. And our previous engineer apparently worked a deal with them that they would get those 2 new water lines for free, even though it cost us, I don't know, 2 days of chipping for the ledge. But we have to take a look now to see what we're going to be charging them, because they have that separate building, and we are having the 2 fire lines come in. Plus we don't know what's happening on Pleasant Street, and then on Main Street. We have the 1 line going into the Hyde service. So that's supposed to be multi-unit. So we have to really sit down and take a look.
Jason had made a rate calculator, which I think everybody got a copy of.
Yeah.
To calculate based on EDUs. Is that right?
Yep.
Terminology. I had forwarded that to Brian for him to populate, so that you guys will have a better idea on what you think your connection fees should be based on if they are charged a connection fee.
Mm-hmm.
What's EDUs?
The amount of water they're going to use or projected.
Yep.
Yeah, that's individual units. It's
So
dwelling units.
I think that Jason had it for when they calculated the sewer connections for individual homes and whatnot, and just populated it based on water usage.
Okay, so you estimate water usage based on the number of toilets or bedrooms?
I think so. I don't know how it works, Chris, to be honest with you. That's why I kind
It
of.
was a nifty little spreadsheet.
Mm.
You put the per flush, and I kind of vaguely remember. I might have it.
I think when they actually come up with plans, they have to say what their projected water use would be.
Right.
And that's how they base the sewer connections. And now with that calculation sheet, you could do for water as well, is my understanding.
Yeah, because sewer has that massive problem, because they can only do so many hookups depending on what they can put through their plant. And, you know, their plant has been getting to the point of full.
So what has changed? I mean, haven't we been charging connection fees for years? What's different now?
Yeah, individual homes are a flat fee of $13,600 right now.
Yeah.
But when it's a multi-unit, like when Avalon came in, and when we just, 390 CJ Highway, Jason helped to calculate that connection fee based on projected usage.
Okay, so the units at the harbor are going to be condos, and they're going to be sold individually, so they'll be individually metered.
Right.
And so we'll know how many bathrooms and how many bedrooms they are. So
yeah.
Wouldn't that follow that formula?
Yeah, but the whole thing was, from what I understand, with the one large building, because the hotel was there, that they didn't get a connection fee. Now they're putting in an additional building there.
They're adding 2 connections to the existing 2 connections, from what I understand.
Remember, that's what they were talking about last time. Because there was a building and they had a connection, we didn't charge them a connection fee. Because
yeah, are we talking about a connection fee? Are we talking about connection fee for the building or each individual residence?
No, it was a connection fee for the building. That's what we were looking at before. Because it was the hotel being replaced by what was supposed to be a condo building. We did not know that there were 2 condo buildings. So now,
what do we do at the James Lane's condos, for example?
They were individual hookups. 13.6 for each one.
So why wouldn't we do that for the harbor?
Because they're not individual buildings. They're condos within a building.
Right, which is the same as James Lane. There's multiple units in each building.
No, James Lane is individual. They're separate houses. Each number, like with Sally, who was just here, you go down James Lane and she had her tiny little townhouse. These are individual townhouses on James Lane.
Plus there's going to be commercial in there too as well.
Yeah. So what we're looking at now is something totally different from what we've done before. James Lane originally, when town meeting voted on it back, oh gosh, 20 something years ago, it was supposed to be an extension of the downtown business district, so that it was supposed to basically be what's being built now, commercial on the bottom, either offices for plumbers, doctors, lawyers, and then living space up above. But somehow that got all changed, and the only commercial building there on the property is the old Strawberry Parfait. But now we have to look at Pleasant Street, where they tore down that building. And have you driven by Pleasant Street, where right behind the art center? Yeah, take a look at that. It looks like they have just commercial on the first floor right in the front, and it's going up 3 floors. So, you know, we have to find out what's happening there. We're still waiting for a flow test, right, on that one? Or have we gotten that on Pleasant Street? Haven't gotten a flow test yet, so we don't know what's going to be there.
Hold on, can I just go back to James Lane though?
Sure.
Each of those massive buildings you're telling me is only 1 condo or 1 townhouse?
They're attached. It's like a row house.
Right, so that's
so
not one
each
building.
of the building, you know, like if you ever lived in a city in a row house, each building, each door is its own separate house. Each door has its own separate address and its own separate real estate bill. For that address only. It's not part of a condo like they're doing over on the harbor, because in the harbor, it's like an apartment building.
And they all have individual service connections. Is that correct?
They will. I mean.
Well, no, there's going to be a main line going into each building.
Right, but at James.
And then it will be branched off inside the building. So each unit would be metered.
But James
No,
Lane.
They all have individual service connections.
Yeah, James Lane, they all have individual service connections.
Like they're all individual row houses.
Okay.
Where they're talking about, we'll have a main that'll have tap up for each meter, each condo.
Yeah, inside the utility room.
Okay.
Because what do you call they have 1-inch lines going into each building in James Lane. And then over in the harbor, they might have a 6-inch line going in to take care of the whole building. I don't know if it's a 6 or an 8. Yes, Mike.
I want to ask a question as a citizen, not as a member of the Capital Budget Committee. I heard that the developers were not charged any fees for work that the Water Department did on that site, 2 days of blasting or ledge breakup. That seems to me to be a charge you're putting onto the ratepayers that ought to go to the developers. So I just want to make that statement. Thank you.
I agree with you, Mike. But at the time, the town employee that we had made some type of deal with the developer.
Yes, but is that deal enforceable? Is that deal legal? Or must it be approved by the commissioners? And that might be something for town council. But I'm not sure how much money the water commission could recoup. But I think as a citizen, I'm thinking that the water commission should be making an effort to get that money back.
Lee, that was that extra piece that was put in, right?
That was the 2 new lines that came off of Elm Street.
Right.
That was the Elm Street going towards the Legion. Their main line into the building was further down where the hydrant is.
Yeah, so the
change order was for going down Margin Street towards Stockbridge.
That's it. Yep.
Change order.
We'll take a look at that, Mike.
Yeah. You know, I felt they should at least pay for the blasting.
So, all right.
But anyhow, this is what we're looking at right now, Chris, because we have these situations that we had never encountered before. You know, what do we do with the Hyde service station? They have a service line going in, and then they want to put in 10 units. I don't know if they're condos or apartments with retail downstairs. And they apparently will not be able to use just the one service line that's in there because I'm sure it's inadequate to cover all of the development they want on that site because they're going back further too. And, you know, and if we get any other development, you know, any other apartment type building in here. See, when they did condos over on by the train station, Brenda, I wasn't on the board at the time, but I don't know how they did that one. Because it was a big line going in.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking
Old Colony Square.
Colony?
Yeah.
I don't recall how they came up with that. I don't know if it was Tutela that came up with the connection fee. I don't know. It wasn't handled in this office, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
That would be a good one to look at, though, because that's most similar to what we're doing.
I could probably go back to the file and see if I can find something about Old Colony.
When was that built, we think?
See, your father was on the board then.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking about.
I can tell you.
Because I came on just as he went off. So he might remember.
That would be $2010.
Yeah, that was just we were coming in. Yeah, I was coming on just as he was going off. Yeah.
So, but for the harbor, for example, our so I don't understand. We need to, or the point of this conversation is so at some point we will develop a connection fee that we will then present to the developer of the harbor project.
Not just the harbor project. We're also looking at what's happening on Pleasant Street, what's going to be happening on Main Street. We want to get our rules up to date so that, you know, when these people come into us, we'll know what's what.
So there's no precedent or past historical policy on what's been done in these situations?
We just had
no regulation.
Jonathan came in when, what's his name? Stasco built that building at Stop and Shop. And we had to go through a lot of negotiations with that one.
Yep. And what did we do there?
We did EDUs. So
Okay.
this is why we have to make sure that we have the correct EDUs and figure out, I don't know if we should be working with sewer to find out if they increase their cost of EDUs. Typically like, you know, on a biannual basis or whatever. Because I know the sewer rates are extremely high for hookups compared to us.
1 EDU equals the amount of water used by one single family residential dwelling unit defined as 0.28 acre foot of water per year. For sewer service, 1 EDU equals a daily flow discharged by a typical single family dwelling. Okay. So we need to put a price on an EDU.
That's right. That's what the whole part is. We have to decide what our price is going to be.
Okay. And
because
Brenda,
when Brian
okay.
or when Jason did this, I think he was looking at sewer rates. And that's why we should do this, because it's been a couple years since that was done.
Is that in the rate study spreadsheet, or where was that?
No, that's someplace else.
That was just the spreadsheet that Jason created, Chris.
Does anyone have that handy?
I'm sorry?
Does anyone have that handy?
I can look for it.
When I get off here, I'll look for it too and see if I can send it to you. And then I think we should just review it and talk to Brian about it for our next meeting.
All right.
Because I mean, it's not something that is imminent that we have to decide today, but we have to be prepared because we do have those 2 hookups that are going in for the second building in the harbor. So they'll know what they're being charged there. And then they also have that building that's going in across the street where they took down the candy shop and that other building that used to be the hairdresser and the antique shop. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, we have to see what's happening there, because there were 2 hookups and they're putting in, I think, 10 units over there.
Okay.
Yeah, we just have to just get ourselves on board and, you know, find out whatever.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
But I think the last topic we have is water main replacements, because we discussed that we had the money already and we should get started on it, because we discussed having it done in the fall. So we have to get on Brian and Michelle to start the RFPs and get the bid process going. Because they're where it's the Atlantic Ave from the bridge to about the midpoint of the parking lot at Sandy Beach. And then it's Main Street from where we had the break all the way down to the church. Is that correct? I think was what we decided last time.
Correct.
Correct. Yep.
You know, so we have to get this moving along because it's February already and we want to get started on it and get it wrapped up, hopefully, before the blacktop season closes, which is November, December.
I also wanted to, not to interrupt, but I wanted to point out in that large lump sum of capital monies for the water main replacement.
Yep.
Not mistaken. The rest of Beechwood, Doan, and Church Street to the Situate line was supposed to be in that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So when we did a few of the flow tests to figure out what size bypass we need, it was indicated that there's some, it does reduce quite a bit down on that end. So I don't know what the highest priority is. I know Atlantic, that's been a sore spot for us for a while. But if we're digging up Beechwood, you might want to think about only digging it up once.
Does that have any impact with Carl doing?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just want to throw it out there so everybody realizes that it wasn't just that one stretch from Atlantic and South Street. The other streets were included from what I remember as well.
It is. No, because I looked that up at the time, but we had decided that at the last meeting, Atlantic and Main Street were top priority instead of the others. But if we're having problems down there, it would be, I think, in our best interest to look at that. It's a shame Brian isn't here today.
He's on vacation.
I know it's vacation week.
Yep.
Yeah, I can try to set up a meeting with him in the next couple of weeks and get that ball rolling.
Well, I mean, we don't have anything in stone about doing Atlantic Ave right now. Main Street, I think, is more of a top priority because it's in the repaving calendar.
When, you know?
Soon. I don't know when exactly. And then
I mean, if we don't even have these things out to bid yet, it's very unlikely.
No. Well, I mean, this is why we have to start getting things out to bid. Right. And since this new wrinkle just came in about Beechwood.
So what is going on with Beechwood and the work that's supposed to start next month? Does anybody know?
Well, all I can report is we did the flow tests. I did email Brian, or Jonathan did, I think, I'm sorry, with the results of that. And he came up with, we're going to need a 12-inch bypass instead of the smaller due to the low pressure. So it had to go back to, from what I understand, the contractor, because of course there's going to be a larger charge for that. So, and that was just, that email just came through from Brian on, what was that, Jonathan? Tuesday, maybe? Wednesday?
It was this past week. It sounds like it's a 12-inch on one side and a 2-inch on the other.
But we're still moving forward.
Yeah, and I think that the official flow test is still going to be happening, right, Brenda? The contractor will be doing their own.
Correct. But Brian had wanted preliminary numbers in which to work with.
Is there any schedule yet?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. They came in here a couple of weeks ago and I told them that Brendan was out marking everything. Him and Connor did that. They exercised all the gate valves and whatnot, make sure everything was wide open. So that was just completed. But I haven't heard from Brian or the contractor in regards to this.
Okay.
Yeah, this was the job that was supposed to be done last year, but because of problems with going out to bid, that initially it went out incorrectly because we had purchased all of the pipe and the bid went out with the contractor purchasing the pipe. So it was a big lag in rebidding. So consequently, that is why it's been delayed to this spring when it should have been done before the season ended last year.
I think we expect more information soon and the ball should start rolling.
Yeah, so I was trying to find an email that Brian sent to Justin back in the fall, or maybe it was more recently than that, but we do need to notify the community and the affected residents. And I certainly have not been put on any communication from the town or the department about that. So my understanding was that we're kicking this off in March. So we do need to start communicating it and getting on the same page with the schedule. That would be my opinion.
You know, unfortunately, it looks like we might be having some weather issues in the beginning of March, which would put us off probably to the middle of the month, because we've been so lucky so far this winter, but from what the forecast is showing.
All right, so we'll give Brian a week or so after he gets back from vacation, and then I can try to touch base with him and get some of these answers collectively with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, probably after he identifies the problems with the other locations in Beechwood, we might take Atlantic Ave off for this coming this year, or this, I'd say, calendar year, and push it to next calendar year. The other thing that we have to think about too is 3A, because Steve, you saw that coming up, right?
Yep.
We're supposed to be replacing the main from Beechwood to the Scituate line. And we were going to be doing it in conjunction with the state coming in and redoing the road, so that would only cost us basically laying the pipe, and we would not have the costs of any type of repaving or state accommodation to make.
It should just be materials. There wouldn't be engineering. Or
Yeah.
Right.
And we're still waiting on that because we haven't gotten a definite. This has been in the works for at least 6 years that I know of. And
Probably a few more years.
Yeah, it's, you know, and we do want to jump on that when we can.
Yep, I agree.
So we have to make sure we're not biting off more than we can chew.
Yeah.
I think our customers would get very upset if we had 3A, Atlantic, Main Street, and Beechwood all dug up at the same time.
Right. All right, I gotta have a hard stop soon. Do you want to do
Okay.
the meeting minutes?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Water Commission meeting minutes of January 12th, 2023 and January 30th, 2023.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any comments for the commission?
Just very briefly, Verizon Wireless finished their upgrade to the equipment on the Bear Hill tank with no issue. And I signed the consent letter for AT&T to give them permission to begin the process to upgrade their equipment and relocate some of their equipment on Bear Hill tank. I did consult with Lieutenant Lennon at the Cohasset Police Department regarding the communications equipment for public safety we have up there, and AT&T added to the consent letter that should the Cohasset public safety find any signal loss after the installation, AT&T would be responsible to remedy the signal loss. So everyone is happy with that, and AT&T will begin their process, which should probably take about 4 to 5 months before they actually start work. And I'll keep everybody in the loop on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Yep, good job. All right, if there's nothing else, I'd like to close the Board of Water Commission on February 23rd at 11:29.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Thank you, Brendan, Jonathan.
Thank you, Jonathan. See you, bud.